He lived on the outskirts, always on the outskirts, of town, of society, of comfort. His house, a ramshackle thing with peeling paint and boarded windows, was a reflection of the man himself, forgotten, weathered, and harboring secrets. Few dared to venture near, and those who did felt an unsettling chill even on the sunniest days. There was an aura about the place, a stillness that spoke of solitude and something else, something unnerving. He was often seen walking the dirt roads, a solitary figure against the vast expanse of the sky. Head down, shoulders hunched, he moved with a measured pace that hinted at a coiled strength. Never a word spoken, never a glance spared for those who crossed his path. He was a ghost in the local folklore, a whisper of a man who haunted the periphery of their lives. Some dismissed him as a harmless recluse, a victim of his own making, but there were others. The ones who had been around long enough, who knew better. They had seen the look in his eyes, a coldness that could freeze the marrow in your bones. They had heard the stories, whispered in hushed tones of his past, of his deeds. And they knew, with a certainty that chilled them to their core, that this was a man you didn't cross. His past was a tapestry woven from whispers and shadows. Some said he was a war veteran, haunted by the horrors he'd witnessed. Others claimed he was running from a past he couldn't outrun, a past filled with violence and regret. The truth, like the man himself, remained elusive, shrouded in mystery and speculation. He had arrived in town a decade ago, a stranger with nothing but the clothes on his back and a haunted look in his eyes. He spoke little, revealing nothing of his past or his reasons for seeking refuge in this forgotten corner of the world. Some tried to befriend him, drawn in by a strange mix of curiosity and pity, but their attempts at conversation were met with gruff silence, their offers of help politely refused. He preferred his own company, it seemed, the company of his demons and his memories. He spent his days working on odd jobs, chopping wood for the townsfolk, fixing fences, anything that kept him occupied and away from prying eyes. He was a man of few needs, content with the bare necessities and the solace of his solitude. But beneath the surface, beneath the carefully constructed facade of indifference, there was something else, a darkness, a simmering rage that occasionally flickered in his eyes. It was a look that spoke of old wounds and a capacity for violence that sent shivers down the spines of those who saw it. His eyes were his most striking feature. They were a piercing blue, the color of a winter sky just before a storm. They were eyes that had seen too much, experienced too much pain, too much loss. They held a depth that was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a glimpse into the soul of a man who had walked through fire and emerged hardened, unyielding. There was a stillness about him, a quiet intensity that commanded attention. He moved with the grace of a predator, fluid and controlled, always aware of his surroundings. He was a man who noticed everything, every twitch, every glance, every unspoken word. It was unsettling, this awareness, as if he could see right through you into the deepest recesses of your being. And then there was his voice. Deep, gravelly, and laced with a barely suppressed anger, it was a voice that demanded respect. A voice that could silence a room with a single word. He rarely spoke, but when he did, his words carried weight, the weight of experience, the weight of unspoken threats. He was a walking contradiction, this man, a solitary figure who exuded an aura of danger, a man of few words, who spoke volumes with his silence. He was a puzzle that no one dared to solve, a mystery that everyone preferred to leave unsolved. The bridge incident cemented his reputation. A group of young men, drunk and spoiling for a fight, decided to have some fun at the lone wolf's expense. They surrounded him on the old wooden bridge, their laughter echoing in the stillness of the evening. They pushed him, shoved him, called him names, testing his patience, testing his limits. He said nothing, just stood there, his face an emotionless mask. But those who knew him, who had seen the look in his eyes, felt a chill run down their spines. This was not a man to be trifled with. The leader of the group, emboldened by the man's silence, threw a punch. It connected with a sickening thud, but the man didn't flinch. He simply looked at the young man, his eyes cold, calculating. And then, with a swiftness that belied his age, he moved. One moment he was standing still, the next he was a whirlwind of motion. Punches and kicks landed with precision, each blow echoing in the stunned silence. When it was over, the young men were scattered on the ground, nursing their wounds. The lone wolf stood amidst the wreckage, his face impassive, his clothes slightly askew. He didn't say a word, didn't need to. The message was clear: this was his territory and he would brook no challenge.